So a week ago, I invited about 100 students to go unplugged for 1 week. No TV, no cell phone, no video games, no internet, nothing. Unplugged. 1 week to see what God might do in their life. Here's what they had to say.
My name is Hannah Hall and I went unplugged. One of the things I learned this week is that my whole family is run by technology and that we all go insane without it.
Hey, my name's Josh, and I went unplugged. So one of the days that I went unplugged is I found myself at the Mud Hens Stadium, and I kind of was just thinking about God and just standing there with like pretty much nothing. And I was just looking out at the ballpark and the snow, and I kind of thought of it as like the ballpark is like sort of like my life, and how like everything that used to be in the ballpark, like all the people and all the baseball bats and all the fans cheering, and that was sort of like my way of like everything that I do in my life and all the temptations that aren't necessarily bad, just not with God and drawing me away from God. And when I looked at the snow, I kind of saw none of those people there, and it was sort of a lot quieter. And as the snow fell, that's sort of like me getting away from God and just trying to spend time with Him and trying to learn all these little bits of knowledge that fall into my ballpark. And I know I'm not going to get it all, and I know some of it's going to blow away, but what God wants me to learn, He's going to blow right into my ballpark.
Hi, my name is Chris Parrish, and I went unplugged. One of the things that I discovered in my experience being unplugged was that sometimes we all don't realize how attached we are to certain things that we do all day, like whether it's our cell phones or our TVs or our computers. And not until you are actually unplugged from them, and not until we are actually unplugged from them is when we actually realize how attached we are.
My name is Jay Youngblood. I went unplugged. One of the things I discovered is no matter what you do, keep pushing because He's going to make it all better.
My name is Noah White, and I went unplugged for a week. One of the biggest discoveries I think that I found through this experience was that in my prayer life and in trying to connect with God, I invited so much distraction into that time that I was trying to spend with God. You know, I'd turn on my phone, plug it in, turn on the internet, and make sure that my instant messenger was up. And sure enough, every single time that I was reading or I was praying, really trying to hear what God had to say to me, I would, a phone call would come in and I'd answer the phone almost as though saying to God, hold on a second, God, this is more important. And, I could never really hear what God had to say to me. And it wasn't until I went unplugged for a week and, I made a conscious effort to not invite the distractions, all the everyday distractions that come with your phone and your computer and whatnot, that in the silence I heard what God had to say to me. And I focused on reading scripture and just, trying to see and trying to visualize and hear everything He had to say to me. And it wasn't until I unplugged that I actually heard it.
So when we were talking about the idea, I thought, yeah, this would probably be pretty good for high school students to do. I mean, after all, they seem pretty plugged in, texting all the time on their cell phones and MySpace. And I guess what I didn't realize is that maybe God had a few things for me as well, because it was more of a challenge than I thought it would be. I didn't realize how much I listened to music and watched television and how I would fill my free time with all of this stuff. And so when I went unplugged, suddenly there was space for reading, for family without distractions of other things going on, for time just to think and pray and journal. So I invite you to take the challenge that we just went through. And if you can't do a full week, pick a day or two where you unplug yourself, your friends, your family. No TV, no cell phone, no internet, no video games, no technology, no distractions. And see what happens. See what God might want to teach you. See what you might learn about yourself, and maybe see what you might be missing with some of the people that God has put in your life. Maybe at the end of the week, you'll find that there are moments that you can spend playing games or hanging out or doing stuff that you never imagined before. And maybe in the quiet, in the reading, in the praying, and in the journaling, you'll remember the story about Jesus and how he's changed your life. I mean, after all, Easter is right around the corner.